Ladies and gentlemen, remember this poster? This was way back in the day. Jason Momoa, Unite the Seven. And remember, this is a Justice League poster because Zack Snyder was the man in charge of doing this poster. Nonetheless, Zack Snyder came up on Twitter and he said, "There is only one true king. Hashtag Unite the Seven." Now, at the time, people thought, oh, King of the Seven Seas, right. So this here is Aquaman, King of the Seven Seas. And yeah, but this is what came after. Henry Cavill started trolling us on Instagram. First of all, Henry Cavill said, "Cal looking for Hal. Hashtag Green Lantern, hashtag Cal." Cal being his dog. Then Henry Cavill comes after that, and he's wearing a Green Lantern jersey. This is after training. His trainer is probably the guy you're seeing right here in the corner. So, Henry Cavill doesn't have enough. He gets injured. He comes back and he says, "Since I came off the old knee injury, I've been steadily increasing my training workload. Now, I know it's irritating when people say this, but it generally does feel so good to be back in it. I'm not destroying myself every day, just working towards improvement by pushing hard enough to elicit change. Nothing funny to post here. It's deadly serious because I've got to make sure I'm bigger than Green Lantern." Wait, what? The trolling didn't stop. Next, he says, "Other Cal looking for Hal. Hashtag Green Lantern. Hashtag Cal." And you can actually see an image of Cal right here. And Henry Cavill's eyes sort of concentrated. It's so funny. But see, you could say, okay, Henry Cavill's trolling like crazy. But then this shows up. San Diego Comic-Con. And this here is a picture of the Justice League, right? With Hal Jordan in it. But here's the funny thing about it. And this came from what? This came from the Wonder Woman intro, right? Remember, you guys remember the characters you saw in the Wonder Woman intro? Green Lantern was one of them, and the Green Lantern was Hal Jordan. But here's the thing. Jason Momoa takes to his Instagram, and he posts up this picture, and then he says, "I know something you don't know." Straight up trolling. And then he goes on to say, "And it's bleeping awesome." So, and then he pulls it down. He pulls down the photo after. That was San Diego Comic-Con, ladies and gentlemen. And that's not all. That's not all. Now we get the San Diego Comic-Con sneak peek. And what do we see in the San Diego Comic-Con sneak peek? Let me show you. Remember this? Listen for the footsteps. Here?
You said you'd come. Now let's hope you're not too late.
Okay, I'm gonna stop right there for a second. So, Jason Momoa does this. You listen to the trailer, the San Diego Comic-Con trailer, which, by the way, also said by Mr. Steppenwolf. He says, "No lanterns, no Kryptonians." Remember that? And we see Bruce Wayne staring at definitely a Kryptonian outfit, which is it Superman? Is it Supergirl? Right? Remember that? Now we know for a fact Superman's coming back in Justice League, right? We know this for a fact. Why? Because when we look at the Justice League posters, which is here, Superman's in it. So of course, excuse me, Superman is coming back. Cool. But then, Steppenwolf says no Kryptonians. If Superman's coming back and there's no Kryptonians, then we have to assume that a lantern is coming because he said no lanterns as well. That means the lanterns not only exist in the universe, but also that it may be foreshadowing a lantern coming back. And when you take that into consideration, considering that Jason Momoa is the guy who starts off the campaign for Justice League with Unite the Seven, and that the Justice League has 6 characters that we are sure are going to be in the Justice League movie, and we know from prior history that the Justice League, especially in animation, etc., generally has 7 members that start its core, and in this case, when you look at the New 52 especially, which we think Justice League is going to be based off of, Green Lantern is a part of that 7. And then we look at the end of the movie, and Alfred there are 2 bumps. You see the water move twice, you hear 2 bump sounds, and then you hear footsteps coming, not footstep, or a footstep, but footsteps coming towards Alfred. And we think about what Henry Cavill said about Cal looking for Hal, as if Cal and Hal are going to pair up for some reason. We got to ask ourselves a question. Here, it's Unite the 7. Sorry, the theme here is Unite the 7, which is there. We see 7 here, right? We saw it in the Wonder Woman movie. Then we get all the hints, and then Jason Momoa blatantly comes out and says Unite the 7, right? And then we see there's 6 members here. And then after Alfred says, he said you'd come, let's hope you're not too late. Here's what happens. Pay attention. Let's stop it right there. All in. All in. Why would Zack Snyder say that if he didn't just highlight all 7 members of the Justice League and that all of them have been addressed in this sneak peek? So while people were paying attention to the little piece of head or hair you saw and what seemed like a cape, which may have been Superman, the other thing that everybody had been saying is Green Lantern's probably along with him. And then, of course, this looks all green and everything. But that's besides the point. Cal seems to be teaming up with Hal. He's looking for Hal. Why is he looking for Hal? Of course, the question is, who is the one that said they would come? He said you would come. Is this Bruce Wayne? Who is this? And is the person that's accompanying the Green Lantern, because we know it's 2 people there, and you can be used for plural as well as singular. If it's 2 people, is the other person Supergirl? That's the question. Well, some people look at the Kryptonian in the sneak peek. I don't know if I can get it right now. I can try. Gotta go back a little bit. Here we are. Somewhere, yeah. So I'm gonna just play this little piece here for you, and I'm gonna tell you this, okay?
The Kryptonian.
Okay. Now, first of all, people are saying that the legs of Superman look small. Well, this is a hologram, so it doesn't necessarily mean that it's to scale. Second of all, when you go and watch Superman walking in his cape as Superman in Man of Steel, when he just comes out of the ship, because his father's inspiring him, his feet do look around about that size. So it's not necessarily that what Bruce Wayne is looking at is not Superman. The question is it the Superman, or is this some sort of making or construction of a Superman? Or is it Superman in a new costume? Who knows? But we do know this design here, not so much the red and the cape, but the design here is a little bit different to what we have seen on Superman, okay? And it's golden. Now, that doesn't mean it's not Superman hologram and that Bruce Wayne's not figuring out something or something, I don't know. But if it is Supergirl, then Supergirl needs to have at least a skirt. And I don't see any skirt there. So, maybe it's Supergirl, it could be, but it could also be Superman as just in bright blue and red, okay? Now, even so, the important thing is, you saw All In at the end, and Unite the 7 would bring about all of the League. And since we know Superman has to come back, we know Superman is one of the 7, so the other one is Green Lantern, which means that more than likely Alfred was talking to Superman, and he was talking to Green Lantern. And since this trailer didn't include Mira wasn't seen anywhere in this trailer, I have to believe that every single character that was mentioned or seen in the trailer had to do with the 7 members of the Justice League. And therefore, when we saw Bruce Wayne looking at this Kryptonian hologram, it probably was Superman. Okay? Not quite sure what that relevance is, but it really is straightforward. Superman, The Flash, Cyborg, Wonder Woman, Batman, Aquaman, and Green Lantern were all referred to in this sneak peek. And even more importantly, I believe Alfred is speaking to Green Lantern and to Superman, who have come there. I'm not quite sure who it is that said he said you would come. That could be just about anyone, but most people assume it's Bruce Wayne, which would more likely be that. Now, the question for everybody is, as you can see here, Superman is in his blue and red suit. We've seen Superman from Hot Toys, bright blue uniform, very red cape. Kind of reminds me of the Superman we're seeing there. Not quite exactly, but it's kind of like that. And I'm wondering if that is Bruce Wayne finding a way to charge up Superman. That's why you see the golden sort of creases in Superman's clothing. So if you look here, this golden piece, maybe it's some way of charging up Superman. Who knows? I don't know. But what I can tell you is that Zack Snyder started with Unite the 7, and definitely they're uniting the 7, and that's why you saw at the end All In. Okay, so that really is what that is, and all the hints will be given to you. And what's really cool about this is that we're looking here at Gal, Angie, True, and we're looking at Ryan Reynolds, and all 3 of them are in this picture which Ryan Reynolds is photobombing. But what's very interesting is this: they all 3 of them acted in a movie called Criminal. Ryan Reynolds was playing the husband of Gal Gadot's character who died. He was an investigator. He was like a CIA kind of guy. And his brain was put into a criminal so that they could get the memories of him. And that criminal went, he got away. And it actually so happened that Gal's life was in jeopardy. And Angie True's character, who was the villain, was hunting down Gal and the other guy, which was played by Kevin Costner, was the criminal, to kill him. Okay? So that's why you saw all 3 of them together. But even more interestingly, I just want to say, do you remember that Ryan Reynolds congratulated Gal Gadot and also Patty Jenkins for Wonder Woman when it surpassed Deadpool's totals? Was because Ryan Reynolds was actually the Green Lantern. Do you guys remember that in 2011? And he then went on to be successful in Deadpool. So Deadpool is also Green Lantern. Deadpool used to work for Warner Brothers, and now he works for Marvel Fox. Because actors, they can end up working with many different studios. And we've seen it all the time. The guy who plays KGB, he was in Captain America, the Winter Soldier, right? We see that the actor who plays Perry White, who is, he's now going to be acting in Spider-Man. I mean, it's all over the place. Okay, they're actors. Same thing for directors. Same thing for producers. We see now, this director, actually Patty Jenkins, should have been directing Thor 2 for Marvel. She didn't end up doing. But the director for the Avengers and for Avengers Age of Ultron, he's now directing Justice League. So it happens all the time. So guys, we do not need to fight. Marvel and DC don't need to fight because people who work in the industry, they do things for Marvel, they do things for DC. Even I thought very recently, actually, I know there's this kind of competition between Marvel and DC, but you don't have to be nasty with it. You know what I'm saying? I remember there was this guy. He's actually working with the CW, and he's doing Legends of Tomorrow, I think it is. And he's actually writing on the side for Marvel, which makes sense. We have so many comic book writers. Kirby, he wrote for Marvel. He wrote for DC. There's so many writers who wrote for Marvel and DC. So, guys, let's put aside all the animosity and stuff and let's enjoy comic book movies. And if you don't take to certain comic book movies and you don't take to certain studios, it doesn't mean you have to put them down, man. And that's the thing I try to keep on telling people. Anyway, on that note, you guys have a great one.